Hello and welcome to Be My Guest Season 3, the show that has completed two seasons during the pandemic with more than 35 episodes featuring young talents and professionals. I'm your host, Kelly, after a long time. Before we get into our today's topic, I want to thank all the viewers who are watching the show right now. On today's episode, we have not one but two special guests who will be sharing their expertise on menstruation awareness, a topic that is less discussed than it deserves. I can't wait for you to hear their insights and stories. I'm sorry, there is an audio problem. Just a minute. Sorry for that inconvenience. So, joining us today is Bidisha Saikia, a change maker in menstrual awareness with her successful campaign Bleed with Dignity. She also organized Guwahati's first state chapter of World Menstrual Hygiene Day in 2019 in Guwahati by creating a wall mural to raise awareness regarding menstruation. Bidisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Welcome. And we have Sukanya Sinha, who has been working tirelessly with many NGOs for spreading awareness for menstruation. She was instrumental in distributing sanitary pads to rural areas in Silchar along with her team during the pandemic. Sukanya, welcome to the show. It's mute. Sukanya, yours. Yeah. Welcome.
Hello everyone. Thank you.
It's truly an honor to have you guys here. Seriously. So,
Thank you so
Bidisha
much.
and Sukanya, before
Thank
we
you
dive
so
into our discussion, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey in this menstruation awareness?
Miss Bidisha, you may start first.
Yeah, Bidisha, please.
Sure. Thank you, Sukanya. My journey, so as to say, actually began by reading a news back in 2017 about a young girl who lost her life because apparently some parasites went into her vagina and ate her small intestine because of the dirty clothes that she was using during her periods. It's from a very interior district in Assam, the state I belong to, and I just could not read and just sit with that news. I knew I had to do something because I told myself that young girls cannot just lose their lives just because they do not have the right awareness or the basic access to menstrual health products. So I think since then it started, and I ran a petition online campaign for it, asking that no one else has to lose their life because they don't have access to products. And hence my campaign, which is called Bleed with Dignity, is asking for menstrual health products to be included in government schools of Assam in the state that I belong to. I believe it will not only start a dialogue around menstruation, it will also break a lot of taboos and stigmas that is attached with menstruation, specifically considering the culture and tradition that Assam follows when it comes to periods. So yeah, it's been a journey. It was started in 2019, and it's still on, and I'll be happy to share more about it as we go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bidisha, for that. We are so, we are excited to hear all those stories ahead. So, Sukanya, please go ahead with your introduction.
Thank you, Vidisha. Such a beautiful insight. Basically, the awareness of menstruation came into my mind while I was growing up. I was seeing all those stigmas, all those ill practices done in our household. To be honest, when we were growing up as girls, we were told to do certain things. And somewhere when I was getting educated, when I was getting to know about this topic, I knew whatever was going on was wrong. And needs to people need to know about it. There should be an awareness. There should be something that they have to get convinced about this, that this is not a disease, this is a natural process. And trust me, when during the lockdown, with the help of one of my friend's brother, we had started this campaign in a remote area back in Silchar. So people, they don't want to discuss about this topic. Somewhere, you know, nowadays we see that people are okay, many videos, many awareness program are coming out, but back, just you imagine 5 years back, even 5 years back, people were not comfortable telling this word, period. It was a taboo and it is still a taboo. So when I was having my graduation days, I got more insight about this topic. Then I decided I have to make a change. I have to bring a change. At least let me start from my household first. So this is a short, brief story or brief background of how I have started or taken a pledge for spreading the awareness about menstruation. Thank you.
That's really inspiring. That's really inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you.
your background and your journey towards this. So as we move ahead, I just want to know, as you guys have just discussed about the taboos and myths. So what are the common misconceptions and myths that we have seen, or what do you think about that? Like, um, what I know, some things that I know are what I've seen during my childhood days are not going to the kitchen, not going to the that puja ghar. So, what are the things? What do you have to say about that?
Uh, See, before going to misconception and myth of menstruation, many people, even women, I'm telling you, they are not aware what is menstruation is. है कि नहीं? Like they
Hmm.
really don't know what is menstruation. For them,
Hmm.
ये है कि हर महीना होता है. This might be a disease.
Hmm.
हो सकता है. I have seen many people telling that अच्छा ये तो रोग है.
Hmm.
You understood what I mean to say? ये तो
Hmm.
रोग है. So first, I just want to give a brief discussion, like what is menstruation, what is period.
Hmm.
It is nothing. It is a natural process. When a
Hmm.
girl hits puberty age, कब? आजकल 10 साल से होता है. हमारे टाइम पे 12 साल 13 साल हुआ था. और तब से लेके there will be certain age 45 to 50, a girl gets into a reproductive phase.
Hmm. Hmm.
She releases an egg every month for fusion, so that new life, new creation can be मतलब बन सके, दुनिया में ला सके. एंड आई फील लाइक वेरी अजीब लगता है कि टिल नाउ पीपल थिंक दिस इज अ टैबू और दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी शुड नॉट डिस्कस अबाउट, क्योंकि जिस प्रोसेस से लाइफ आ रही है इन दिस अर्थ, द थिंग दैट इज ब्रिंगिंग अस क्रिएशन, उसी चीज को पीपल आर फाइंडिंग इट टैबू. Maximum misconception है, whenever I ask people, they say that period is dirty blood. You understand what dirty blood? But biologically, this is not dirty blood. I'm telling you, वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा percentage ही you will get blood. बाकी आपका यूटेराइन टिश्यू है, म्यूकस लाइनिंग है एंड बैक्टीरिया है. एंड there are other things also, like when I ask somebody ki what is period, some say it is red urine. You just see
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
our sex education back in our school is not strong, because people are not aware about their body, especially women are not aware of their body, that they can't differentiate between a urethra and a
Hmm.
birth canal.
Hmm.
Understood what I mean to say? That where our education is lacking, our roots are weaker than anything.
Hmm.
And I just don't want to go to boys, because boys has another level of discussion. Like whenever we ask about periods, I think
Yeah.
I went through this video blog. I think एक था दिल्ली का लोगों के साथ, I think था, I guess एक दिल्ली में ब्लॉग बनाया था. उसमें किसी को पूछा था कि पीरियड्स कैसे होता है, कि बोलते कि थैली से खून निकल रहा है. I think that was the definition. One of the guys said, other जो misconception है, we see that every day in life. I think Miss Saikia can tell you more about it. I will exaggerate it later, but I will allow Miss Saikia to speak about it more.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes,
Sukanya.
Bidisha.
Please address me as Bidisha. But yes, I think the common myths. I mean, like Sukanya said, we never had sex education. I remember I had just one class of sex education back in school, which was also separately, where boys and the girls students were separated, and we had different classes, and that itself is a problem, because when we talk about introducing, also making men come in the menstruation and be aware about menstrual health and hygiene, you cannot separate them from the conversations that needs to start in school. Our biology teacher always misses, she skips the chapter on reproduction, which is such an important topic that children should be aware. But unfortunately, we are as a society, we are so uncomfortable speaking about it, and people just get uncomfortable with questions. So अगर छोटे से देखा जाए, इवन अगर छोटे बच्चे भी जाके अपनी मम्मी से पूछते हैं कि मम्मी ये पैड क्या होता है, या फिर what is this red thing coming out, even if ads also, because I'm sure everyone has watches TV, specifically children, तो उसमें भी मम्मियाँ जब बोल देती कि ये तुम्हारी चीज तुम्हारे लिए नहीं है, you don't need to know about this, or this is not the right time for you to be aware of this process. I think that's where we go wrong. We just because there are children, we should not kind of deprive them of knowing what's a natural process, like Sukanya said, right? So number one, it starts from there. And why is it called dirty? Because it comes from out of our vagina, right? And that's why it's considered dirty. It's ironical in a state like Assam, because we worship a menstruating goddess, right? Kamakya Devi. So it's very ironical to think of that, you're worshipping a Devi who's bleeding, but you are considering all the Devis in your houses as someone who's dirty, as an untouchable. So, Assam has this tradition, which I went through when I hit menarche, was I was isolated. I was given a bed, niche sona hota hai. I can't even have a proper bed. I was not allowed to.
Marrying to banyan tree also, no? There is a ritual.
Yes. I did that. Can you imagine? Because I didn't know back then, right? I thought this is how society works. I did not have the power to question. So I married a banana tree, and it's a funny story, because whenever I say this to someone, everyone is like, "Hi, Mrs. Banana." It's like, no, you make fun out of it, but the important point is, this tradition still is prevalent in many of the interior districts in Assam, which is which is painful, and hence in whatever way in my individual initiative, I try to break those taboos, talk to children, conduct MHM workshops. So I think धीरे धीरे होगा, पर है अभी भी बहुत सारी जगहों पे menstruation is seen as something which we cannot talk about, right? It's a hush hush topic. It's not part of our regular conversations. Pad के लिए भी हमको बहुत छुप छुप के मांगना पड़ता है, right? And which is something which is the basic right of any girl. So yeah, these I mean, yeah, that's, I mean, मैं तो और भी बोल सकती हूँ, but yeah, I would continue the conversation ahead and hear more.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, we have, these are the topics that misconception needs debunking. We will talk about debunking, but it will take ages, I feel, that people acknowledge that. And these misconceptions are still prevalent. That is the sad part. So I want to also show the viewers that some facts that we should know about menstruation. So I'm just sharing some facts on that. Can you see the screen? It's visible?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you can see that these are some facts. In between of the conversation, we will talk about some facts and news about periods. So these are the facts. 23 million women drop out of school every year when they start menstruating in India. Globally, 2.3 billion people lack basic sanitation services in least developed countries. Only 36% women use sanitary pads in India. 121 million girls and women dispose of about 21,780 million pads annually. WHO calls menstrual as a health and human rights issue and not a hygiene issue. So these are some of the facts, and it is baffling to see these facts. So what do you think about all these topics?
Okay, I can go. These facts are jarring. Let's just start with that, because it's many, when we talk about not having access to pads, and this is also leading to girls dropping out from school, right? Globally also, and there's a huge number to it. So imagine girls are not having access to menstrual products is actually keeping girls out of schools, right? And that's again their right. They have the right to education. Many of the schools, if you see the infrastructure also, they don't have a proper functioning toilet, right? Initially there were just toilets which were made for men, if you see, अपने पुराने टाइम पे, है ना? क्योंकि लोगों को लगता है कि औरतें यूज कर लेती है, मतलब कोई भी टॉयलेट उनको चाहिए होता है तो, राइट? फिर धीरे धीरे सेपरेट होने लगा मेंस और वुमेन्स टॉयलेट, बट स्टिल वुमेन्स टॉयलेट में देयर इज नो रनिंग वाटर, व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, specifically when we are on our periods. There is no proper dustbins to dispose of our pads. If we want to, there's no तो चेंज करने का मौका नहीं मिलता है. चेंज करके फेंकेंगे कहाँ वो नहीं पता है. एंड फेंकना भी again is a different taboo altogether, because आप ओपन में नहीं फेंक सकते हो. You have to somewhere throw it घर के पीछे, स्कूल के पीछे, या कहीं बहुत दूर जहाँ पे किसी को दिखेगा नहीं. It's similar to also not letting us drying our period panties, period stain panties which has period stains out in the open, right? And which is very essential for menstrual hygiene, right? Because you need, even if you're using cloths during your periods, you need that proper sunlight so that कपड़ा अच्छे से सूख जाए, अच्छे से sanitize हो जाए. But we lack these basic education because no school teaches children about it. Similar with the pads also, there is no proper disposal mechanism. Like there's a huge number in the facts given that so many people disposes pads, but and we would of course talk about more sustainable options ahead, but the beginning is many menstruators now use disposable pads where there is no proper disposable mechanism. So how now, where do we throw them? Do we मुझे याद है when I was using a pad, I used to throw it in my घर का कचरा because there was no other way to dispose them off, right? When I was doing an internship in Nolbari in Assam, लोग जमीन में गाड़ देते थे, which is more bad. It is not environment friendly. So now, so there are a lot of problems, but yes, Sukanya, please go ahead.
I think Sukanya had done this sanitary pads distribution during the pandemic, and
what happens actually is that when I was doing masters, so my background is microbiology, so I was aware about the biodegradable things, what was going on. So I read one paper, I think it was published by Clement L. and I think Jones A. The paper said what, that when we dispose of pads in a landfill, it takes one pad. It takes near about 500 to 800 years for to get क्या बोलूं मैं आपको डिस्पोज होने में मतलब उस चीज को ब्रेक डाउन होने में it takes about 500 to 800 years. So you imagine. And the plastic that we use in the pads and the tampons, it takes, वो तो biodegradable है ही नहीं. इसलिए हम लोग ने like nowadays sustainable options gave, as Bidisha said, we will be discussing it more in the further. And it is also this thing I want to address about that sanitation one. Women are prone to UTI more than the men.
Yes.
So हम लोग आप खुद देखिए, हम लोग whenever हम जर्नी करते हैं, सिंपल सा बात बोल रही हूँ, हम जब भी जर्नी करते हैं, we try to control our urine. जितना जब तक घर पहुँच नहीं रहे या फिर we're not getting a safer place to urinate, and you are stopping your urine for what? You are stopping for urine कि वो आपको UTI ना हो, ठीक है? और urine stop करने के बाद after some years you will see another disease came out for the stopping of accumulation of urine into your bladder. So and periods के टाइम में I think when मैं स्कूल में जब थी, मैं जब class 4-5 के टाइम पे maximum girls were getting their periods 7 days 8 days के लिए वो स्कूल आते ही नहीं थे. I was not from a government school. मैं अच्छे स्कूल में ही थी, but फिर भी they did not prefer to come like 5 से 7 दिन वो लोग नहीं आते थे. So think about those government schools. एक तो girls are not allowed in many places to study. That opportunity they don't get. Luckily we are privileged enough to study. Many girls they don't get, and this is one of the reasons. और एक और चीज जिसकी वजह से I just want to talk about this topic. कि once girls hit puberty, either they're scared of getting sexually abused at the first stage. Parents, background पे मतलब बहुत सारे जगह पे parents they are scared like if something happens, especially गाँव में आप काफी backwards जगह में गाँव में they get scared कि what if she gets raped, what if she got sexually abused, what if she gets pregnant, who is going to marry her. So there are some of the many misconceptions related to this, and luckily ये जो topic है menstruation, it came more into limelight when our former Miss World, she brought the topic, right? I think she worked on menstruation awareness. So back in 2017 or 16. That was one of the most important eye openers for the society. And I really wanted to add this misconception का topic में, myth के topic में. I want to add some point. People think that using tampon or using this menstrual cup will break their virginity. It is not like that. It has a very different concept, and this using menstrual cups will bring sustainability in the environment. But still, many women are skeptical enough to use it. Like, I use it personally. I have adopted this back in 2020 when I was, started the campaign. I'm still using it. Because many of my friends, many of these women, they are very skeptical using menstruation cups, tampons, because they're not aware of it. There are many videos, many things that it will help. So eventually we'll discuss more about this topic in the further.
Yeah, so speaking of awareness, I mean, I want to go to this topic that how, as we see that awareness is not only about women. So as you can see, this question that I was going to come, that how men's support and contribution and understanding is very important. As Rohan is watching, so he has put up a question over here that he's asking, what are some of the things that men can do to support their partners going through menstruation and make them feel comfortable? So what do you have to say about this?
I want to lead in this. I want to take the lead.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell that a charity begins at home. Charity begins at home. So, जैसे Bidisha ने बोला कि we don't, it's a hush topic. We really don't discuss with men. At the first place, I think we as women, we as a friend, we as a colleague, we should break the ice. We should start talking about it without having any hesitation. You know what I mean to say. Until and unless you don't put any effort or to let them know about it, और उनको ये समझ नहीं आने वाला है from their own, क्योंकि we have to take that initiative. And I think right from the tender age, the education of, there are certain ways that you can tell to a kid what is menstruation, and there are certain ways that you can tell to a man what is menstruation. And I think सबसे पहला चीज है ना जो we as women we expect, हम लोग को ना ज्यादा कुछ चाहिए नहीं होता है. We simply ask some support and some compassion during this time, है कि नहीं? So it really, these two things we want. So at least as emotional thing में जहाँ पे मैं emphasize करूँगी, वहाँ पे we want the man should take initiative. And मतलब initiative in the sense like, if they are seeing that those ill practices are going on in front of them, or if somebody is not aware about it, they should take the stand and they should speak about it. This is wrong, this is the fact, this is the thing, this is the real thing, right? ये एक चीज है. और अगर आप physically आप देखो ना, physical में, then I think men should divide the work. Both man and woman, वहाँ पे ना डिवाइड करना चाहिए काम को ना. कहीं पे ऑफिस में हो, घर पे हो, चीज को डिवाइड होना चाहिए. स्पेशली इन दैट टाइम. ऐसे नहीं बोल रही कि हर रोज डिवीजन होना चाहिए, बट देयर आर सर्टेन टाइम्स कि काम आप ज्यादा करोगे या फिर somebody else will do. But at that particular period of time, the division of work in workplace or in home or in anywhere should be there. And emotionally, physically, which I'll be speaking about, I think guys should not make a fuss about this thing, or ये सोचे कि oh, she is in periods, might be she is PMSing, वो करिए, मतलब she is not, क्या बोलूं मैं, the word that they use is that excuse. She is giving an excuse not to work.
Correct.
Different women undergoes different range of pains during menstruation. मेरा पेन अलग हो सकता है, आपका हो सकता है अलग, किसी और का हो सकता है, किसी और का नहीं भी हो सकता है, but the respect of this natural process should be mutual.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I think I have seen in many cases that काफी डाटा वगैरह मैंने पढ़ी थी कि forceful sexual abuse is going on during menstruation. You know, this is quite a topic to discuss about. I've seen in many documentaries, in many data that forceful uh, this sexual abuse is going on. I think that should be that should not be done at that point of time. And
Correct.
what we else need, some pamper, some understanding, you know.
That is that is the most
some,
important thing.
yeah, yeah.
But
So for me, I'm just
especially,
giving a holistic way.
I
Mhm.
got, yes, yes, correct.
Yeah.
I mean that should be the way, you know. I mean, but in
Mhm.
as Vishal has put it out over here, that in urban areas,
Mhm.
obviously, like with time, people are changing. But what about rural areas? Like, Vishal, you want to take this question? What about rural areas in more ignorance about men and women?
Bidisha, you may speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I think, like I said, in rural areas also, it has to start with school somewhere. It has to start with home somewhere, because of course, we can talk about initially, like I said, the chapter around on reproduction, right? The biology chapter that has to be really uh, taught exactly to students how it is. Aajkal, even if you see the status of government schools in rural areas, the teachers are also not comfortable, right, talking about menstruation. So in introducing menstrual hygiene trainings among teachers training as well will do a lot of the work actually when
Mm.
it comes to making children aware, which will kind of help create or generate that kind of an awareness in among children or among students from rural areas. Number one. Number two is, of course, you know if we talk about like going on the field and doing on ground activities, you have to include both the men and the women in it. And it's not only just about menstruation. When I was doing my internship in another interior district in Assam, um, menstruation is a lot related to also your reproductive health, right? One of the ladies told me that she had to go through a tubectomy because her husband was not willing to go for a vasectomy, which was making her period so painful
Mm.
that it was just unbearable, and she
Mm.
just she just health wise she deteriorated a lot, right?
Mm.
So even hospitals, that kind of awareness should also be provided by doctors in rural areas, by nurses or by gynacs who are in rural areas, about how you can take care and how you can both decide to have a consensual decision about how to go about things when your partner is not well, or when she's not comfortable. And like I said, I think it's also the gatekeepers of the society, as we say, right? Ki teachers ho gaye, doctors ho gaye. Sometimes even many of the in rural areas we see that people go to a lot of monasteries, temples, and then there are some religious leaders. There are some community leaders as well. I think they also, whenever there's a community gathering, they need to kind of normalize these conversations.
Correct.
According to me, the most effective, of course, way is starting from school. Choti choti batein, for example, celebrating, for example, World Menstrual Hygiene Day, which just
Yes.
went by, right, on May 28th.
Yes.
So, ye choti choti baatein, like, and this is how you normalize conversations.
Normalize the
Um,
conversation.
yeah, and that is the key. I think that's one of the few first steps that anyone can take to
Yes.
to normalize the conversations around periods.
Right. So we have, thank you, Auntie, for your. We have a comment. What Sangeeta Kumar, I think it's Rohan's mother. Thank you, Auntie, for watching the show. So she is also telling that teachers need to be trained exactly what you said now, that how to deal with the chapter of reproduction. It should be taught in a matter of time. Right? That's how it should be normalized, not in a bookish way, but to make them understand how important it is. So with that in mind, so let us just go to another fact and see some important facts that we share with you. So if you see, 14% of girls admitted that they did not know what was happening when they started their period. 1 in 4 girls say they did not feel they knew what to do when they started their period. 1 in 5 girls feel comfortable discussing their period with their school teachers or staff. 48% of girls feel embarrassed by their period, the figure rising to 56% of 14 years old. So this is a situation in terms of young girls also when it comes to awareness. Most of the time they are not aware what is happening to their body. And that's why it is very important that what we have discussed, that in education in institutions starting from nursery, this should be a curriculum, should be in the education system itself, right?
Yes.
So yes, yes. I think I'm very- we know we have seen those problems. So okay, moving forward, when we talk about uh, working space, so I will share my own experience in that further going ahead. तो क्या होता था कि मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती थी पीरियड्स के टाइम सिंस माय टीनेज एंड वो व्हेन आई वाज यंग मुझे बहुत सीवियर इश्यूज होते थे लाइक वॉमिटिंग एंड ऑल दिस. तो आफ्टर दैट जब मैं ऑफिस में व्हेन आई जॉइन ऑफिस, वो इतना बुरा हालत हो गया मेरा that one day I had to leave office. I didn't inform anyone. The pain was so severe. तो उस केस में जब मैं छुट्टी लेती थी तो मुझे बहुत सुनना पड़ता था कि you always take leave on those days. So what do you have to say about that? कि इसके बारे में हमें क्या करना है?
So Kanya, do you want to go or shall I go?
Yeah, I'm going. See, the fact that I want to speak is that compassion, empathy, compassion, it is quite lacking in people, especially मतलब menstruation को लेके they don't want to talk about it as I said before. Workplace में क्या होता है ना? See, when I was not working in the lab, I was quite surprised at the fact that women, no, एक मेरी colleague थी, she was telling me that इतना क्या पेन होता है, मुझे तो नहीं होता है.
Correct.
Before blaming man, I want to address this problem first, that women are not getting women also at some point of time. They're like, इतना मुझे तो पेन नहीं होता है, तुम्हें इतना क्या हो रहा है? We have the same degree, we have the same knowledge, we have the same thing. She was my classmate, and that was the thing that I realized कि if women are not supporting women, then how can we expect a good environment? And if I say in officially way, I think we should add this menstruation in the code of conduct. In her organization में, her institution में, we see a code of conduct or code of ethics, whatever, set of rules. वहाँ पे menstruation leave के बारे में, और at least अगर menstruation leave अगर नहीं भी दे, because India में आने में I think it is going to take some time. Because even people are not comfortable discussing this topic. The menstruation leave, I'm not expecting that it is going to come in a overnight aane wala hai. But at least if somebody is not giving you a menstruation leave, they can reduce the workload.
Mm.
You know what I mean to say? They can reduce the workload, and there should be more inclusiveness in the work environment related to menstruation. People should talk about it, without any hesitation. You need to talk about it. Okay, so ma'am, should be comfortable telling the sir, ma'am, I'm going through menstruation right now. So can I do this work after some days? Or can you give my work to somebody? And people should have that sort of mentality. That sort of और that sort मतलब क्या बताऊँ मैं वो चीज का एक अप्रोच होना चाहिए कि that woman is going through menstruation and we should be aware about it, because at the first place if people are not aware about it, then I don't think so that our work environment is going to improve overnight. But luckily people are उन लोग को समझ आ रही है. So I've seen Spain is the first country which has considered menstruation leave, I guess. And in India, I think Kerala has started that. I think we should take the example of this country and the state to incorporate in our work culture. And before we approach to man about it, I think we as a woman need to talk about it, need to educate people about it. Yeah, because women are not separate women at this point of time.
Akanksha,
Women are,
if you see her comment, she's like telling me, Aaron, the women are not empathetic. Most of the time we go to
and
the
we're not. Yeah, they're like, क्यों आपको क्यों चाहिए लीव? पीरियड तो वो तो मुझे भी होता है. I'm also getting it. I'm also getting it.
I was shocked. I mean, मैं आपको बताती हूँ. The male boss was more compassionate in terms of that. मैं बोलती हूँ कि I could not come because of this. But the women used to make such a fuss about that. Fuss about it.
That's the point.
Why let go? Doctor को दिखाओ. Every month you have to take leave. So
मैं नहीं ले रही हूँ, तुम क्यों ले रही हो? That thing.
That is something that is very sad, and I think not in Spain. In India also some companies have taken that initiative. I want to show everyone that the companies in India which has taken this initiative of giving leaves to women. So let me just show this. So these are the 12 companies that are giving menstrual leave to women. As you can see, Swiggy is a big company of food delivery. Culture Machine, Mathrubhumi, Baxter, Wet and Dry, Industry, ARC or ARC, Zomato, IV Panan, GoZoop Online Private Limited, Horses Stable News, Fly My Bees, and Byju's. So these are some companies that are already taking this initiative, giving leaves to women. So still it is very less. Especially if you see, these are not multinational companies, these are all small companies or big companies, medium companies. But I think this should be a norm for for all the companies to take this as a consideration.
Yeah, you know what's interesting actually, when India again, we boil down to a patriarchal society, right? So when these policies are made, how many women are actually represented in the policy panel? How many women are actually allowed to make these policies? किसी ने बोला था ना कि अगर मर्दों को भी periods होता तो हम period जयंती मना रहे थे अभी तो. So it's like that, because they never experience like Akanksha is saying, no one is empathetic, including everyone, both men and women. And because we don't know how it feels like, and there are so many menstrual disorders which even menstruators don't know about, because our gynecologists are not supportive. There's never a conducive environment for us to even question a certain thing, right? So when I am a PCOS survivor. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I didn't know for my entire life, since the time I hit menarche, when I started my first periods, that they were always irregular, right? And there was no one that I could ask this question to, what was happening. My gynecologist, it's so funny, When I went to the doctor to check up, to get a basic checkup of why my periods are irregular, you won't believe the only suggestion she said, and that too to my father, alag se mujhe bahar nikal ke, because I was in my I was 18 or 19 years old. She suggested and advised my father that iski na aap jaldi shaadi kara dena. I mean, that's the suggestion that she had. That's the solution also that she had. But she never ever told me that, this is a condition and this is how you can take care of your body, right? And I had to read up myself growing up, because I knew कोई बता ही नहीं रहा था यार मुझे, मतलब क्या हो रहा है बॉडी के साथ. So imagine that I'm just learning Google से या किसी से बात करके, but I've literally found no one who talks openly about these conditions. उनको लगता है कि अच्छा जितना नहीं बोलेंगे उतना ही complicate नहीं करेंगे हम, इनको बस जल्दी शादी करने के लिए बोलेंगे और जल्दी बच्चा पैदा करने के लिए बोलेंगे, as if we're just here as baby producing machines, which I don't like at all. And many people like menstrual disorders, right? Many people like menstrual pain. किसी को इतना ज़्यादा होता है, and actually research suggests and states that menstrual cramps are equivalent to having a heart attack.
Correct.
And that is research, right? That is you cannot question the data,
research.
Which is and hence, and when we talk about menstrual leave specifically, the whole conception right now, it's a very debated topic in our country. The whole question is coming around that menstrual leaves are a privilege. It's seen as a privilege, which is not, because which kind of dejects the experiences of all menstruators who have different conditions like dysmenorrhea, menorrhea, heavy bleeding, irregular periods, no periods at all. So we need to be aware of these, and no one would come up to your door and talk about it. You need to उतना काम तो थोड़ा सा करना पड़ेगा आपको, कि थोड़ा सा तो आपको रिसर्च करना पड़ेगा कि क्या है exactly, थोड़ा सा मैं जान ही लूँ. इतना तो आप हो सकती हो curious. If you can scroll through Instagram reels every day, you can always go to Google and just do some basic research about it. So I think that's where, and then like I said, it boils down to who are making these policies. In India recently, Kerala is one of the only states who recently implemented period leaves to all their students and faculty in their state institutions, which is a huge step for everyone.
I think they have also installed pad vending machines in many places in Kerala.
Yeah. But I'm saying this is the recent news that they have actually implemented period leaves. And surprisingly, Bihar state in 1992 was the first state in India to introduce menstrual leaves to all the women workers who were working in the government sector. It was not an easy journey. It was a journey full of they had to do a lot of rallies, movements. But Bihar actually, even I didn't know this, but Bihar actually is the first state to implement menstrual leaves. So yeah, I think धीरे-धीरे आगे बढ़ रहा है, but like I said, it's a very debated topic. Many even menstruators are against menstruation leaves, like Sukanya is saying. But I feel it's because of the lack of awareness and lack of awareness about the different other menstrual disorders that are there, which needs to be for sure talked about openly.
Even Tanushri, she is saying that on the day we were taught about menstruation in school, the guys were kept out. Poor things, they were curious and left out. I mean, this thing actually, in schools also, if you are talking about this important topic, why do you have to only teach it to the girls? The boys should also know about it, right? So ये biasness, it comes from the root, you can say. तो वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग वो क्यों हो रहा है, वो स्कूल में अगर आप वो बायस करोगे कि ये चीज सिर्फ लड़की बच्चों के लिए है, नॉट फॉर द गाय चाइल्ड, देन इट बिकम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. तो वो चीजें वो ब्रेक करना है. दैट शुड बी something that we all have to work on.
Yeah. Like I said, everything begins from schools.
Yes.
आई थिंक ये मेरा सेम एक्सपीरियंस था जब हम रिप्रोडक्शन का सेक्स एजुकेशन क्लासेस चल रहे थे. लड़कियों
Mm-hmm.
का अलग से हुआ था, लड़कों का अलग से हुआ था. So
And
sad.
speaking about policies, I mean, what indecent parodies? She has asked one question. That being said, do you think the government is taking measures to ensure people are made aware of menstruation, or is it ignored at national level? So, I have one or two news as I was discussing with Bidisha today. So, I want to share that on this comment. So the process अभी चल रहा है, but I think on February 24th the Supreme Court refused, ये February 24th की बात है 2023 में, refused to entertain APIL about menstrual leave for workers and students across the country, calling it a policy matter. ये February में हुआ था, but now the Supreme Court on Monday April को directed the central government to frame a national policy on menstrual hygiene for school-going girls in the country. The bench, comprising CJ D.Y. Chandrachud, Justice P.S. Narasimha, and Justice J.V. Padiwala, stated that the state policy must ensure low-cost sanitary napkins and safe disposal mechanisms of sanitary napkins in schools. और ये चीज़ आई थिंक स्टेट्स में, यूनियन टेरिटरीज में लागू हो जाएगा फॉर चिल्ड्रन in class 6 to 12, and they will have separate toilets. So this is the latest news on these policies. So I hope you got some answer on कि गवर्नमेंट भी थोड़ा उसमें अभी एक्टिवली काम कर रही है. I hope कुछ ऐसे फ्यूचर में there will be something positive on that. So we have some questions. Can you see the questions?
Yes. It's actually not a question. Someone has just shared their views. I think.
From a men's perspective, reflect mostly unfavorable stereotypes. अभी भी है वो. That is still there. So धीरे-धीरे अभी चीजें change हो रही है, but it will take time. As we have discussed that companies have started to give leaves. But men's perspective, we have already discussed a while ago that I have seen one post of Sukanya long back. I think you have shared something very interesting. She was going through her and her brother, bought some chocolates for her. So that was something I really felt that वो एक understanding होना चाहिए घर में भी. Her brother was so sweet to bring her chocolates and all to have. So that was something very beautiful. So pampering.
Actually, what happened? Actually, my father has been supportive towards this topic. Like, you can say that out of all the stereotypical father, luckily I don't have that stereotypical parents, but I have a stereotypical family. See, parents and having a family is a different thing. I live in a joint family, so that is a day and night difference between the family and my parents. So when I am also a PCOD patient like her, so I still remember I was like, I don't have irregular periods, but I had other symptoms. So people have, there should be an awareness that this is a lifestyle disease. Okay, in every 1 out of 5 women getting PCOD nowadays, and we should cure. And it is incurable, to be honest. But this is a lifestyle disease, so we have to do certain things to bring it in certain control. So what happened? I think I was 20 years old when it was detected. I told my father that I'm having too much painful periods and all. And my dad was cool about it. He was like, fine, let's go to the doctor. And since then, when the doctor said, the gynecologist said, I won't mention the name, he said, you may go out, I want to discuss about the female problem. My dad said, I want to know what my daughter is going through. And I think it is a body issue, it is a natural thing. And I don't
Hmm.
think so that मुझे बाहर निकाल के there should be any answer to this. मतलब
Hmm.
ये कुछ किसी चीज का solution नहीं होने वाला. So he stood there. So I knew that if my dad can think in that way, why should I not take any initiative and let my guy friends know about it, or anybody, your brother, anyone who is associated with my life, they know very clearly that I'm open to this discussion. Like whenever I used to go to college or whenever I used to go to any places, my cousins, even to my brother-in-law, I used to say, see, I can't get indulged into all these things. I can't go to a party or even I can't do something because I'm having periods. And like women around or any other people around, they're like, oh my gosh, she's talking about periods in front of everyone. See,
Yeah. That's
I'm very cool about it.
yeah.
You need to bring the change, at like you need to bring that, you need to break it. So I was, and surprisingly, my cousins, my guy friends, my relatives, and my any other whomever I with, they are okay, and mostly they are men. They are okay. They are more compassionate at that point of time, and they're like, okay, fine. Then I took this initiative back in home when my brother was growing up. Well, he was just started to grow up. I knew that if I want to bring the change in someone's life, especially in men, you need to teach them right from their tender age. So I
Correct.
told him, I told him, see, this is menstruation, this is female reproductive system, this is male reproductive system. Okay. So because अगर आप साइंटिफिकली नहीं समझाओगे somebody, उन लोगों को गलत इंफॉर्मेशन मिलने ही वाला है फ्रॉम द एनवायरनमेंट.
Correct.
यू नो व्हाट आई मीन. सो
Yes.
पहले उसको कहीं और से गलत इंफॉर्मेशन मिले, let me teach him, let him make him know about it. So even though he stays with me right now, till now, when I get menstruation, he understands. He will normal days he comes from the college, I will cook for something for him. But in those days, he'll tell me, don't come to the kitchen, I'm going to cook for you, or I'm going to do this from you. There are certain things that you can bring the change at, आपके घर से आपका change start होना चाहिए. You can, before approaching to the society, the inclusiveness should come from the individual. Then you can go to the society. Then you can go to the national approach. Yes, this is my way of initiatives, taking initiatives for menstruation. And I think I want to tell to every woman, every man right here who is listening to me, take it as a natural process. Just the way you sleep, just the way you eat, roam. This is every pura, and you should be proud. Women, you should be proud that you bleed every month and you still survive. Because I don't think so that a man can bleed for a month and they are going to take it. They're going to take it, and we're okay with it. We have been imbibing the pain since 13 to 14 years old, and I think you should be proud about it. You should talk about it. Okay, when you see your sister, I'm in perspective of man, I'm addressing it. When you see your sister that she's going through periods, be compassionate, talk to her about it. When you see your partner going through it, talk about it. ऐसे मत बोलना कि oh mood swings हो रहा है, PMSing हो रहा है, छोड़ो.
Don't
Nowadays
ignore.
people do that.
Correct.
And
so I'm also like to, since we're talking about men's awareness, I'm really thankful to all the men who are watching this session, and they are coming up with questions. So that is more encouraging and inspiring. Apart from the women who are watching, there are many men who are also watching. So thank you for that.
Because they want to know. They really want to know कि what is this, because they are not known, because it is a hush topic. मतलब taboo तो घर पे अभी भी चल रहा है. आप घर में जाओ, जब भी especially when you get married. I'm not married yet, but when I see in my society, when you get married, the restrictions मतलब और भी ज़्यादा होता है. Which I have seen. The restriction becomes more. This contrary to the, I really like the beautiful celebration of menstruation in Assam, once Tuloni Biya, and I think it's Tuloni Biya, right? And then there's, and South India also they celebrate it, but you see the irony.
Hmm. Hmm.
You see the
Hmm.
irony. The ill
Iron. Hmm.
practices are still going on. You are
Yes.
not allowed to sleep. You are not allowed to sleep in the same bed. कहीं और
Hmm.
सोना है. And उसी condition में you need to wash those things.
Wash. Work.
Heavy. Uh, yeah, I see. Still now, I see in my family, one of my family members. Uh, Second day, third day, में they take all the clothes in spite of having washing machine at home.
Hmm.
अलग सा कपड़ा लेके they wash it outside the home.
Outside.
Still now,
यस
still
यस,
now I said,
जैसे उसमें
and
जर्म्स पड़े
I,
हुए हैं। मेरे मेरे
yeah,
आसपास
I
में ऐसे लग रहा है कि एक शील्ड है बैक्टीरिया का,
see,
समथिंग लाइक दैट, यू नो।
yeah,
So that is embarrassing also sometimes, and it is very
mm,
difficult that embarrassing in the sense everybody knows what is happening to us in
mm,
monthly or every month, but वो चीज इतना visible हो जाता है ना, with all these things you feel क्या हो रहा है, it is something natural, but people see you in such a different way during those 5 days, it becomes unbearable sometimes.
unbelievable. And this thing, if you people had watched this documentary or not, Kutia, something called Kutia. This is a short documentary. महाराष्ट्र में एक गांव है. I think they practice earlier. अभी है कि नहीं, I really don't know. What they do in a certain places of those villages, during menstruation, the women are forced to like stay out of the village to
Yes.
a hut. Yeah, मतलब वो hut जो है ना, वो hut बहुत गंदा condition में है. Like it is, मतलब they don't have a proper ventilation. The water condition is so poor, and then she was abused also in her menstruation days. She has no idea because she was forced to do that. Many women, अगर if these practices prevails in the society, then taking menstruation as a normal topic, as a natural process, will be very difficult.
Yeah.
Because for them, ये तो disease हो गया ना, बीमारी है.
बीमारी
You
सबसे
know what
बड़ी
I mean?
सबसे
Yeah.
बड़ी मिसकॉन्सेप्शन है कि people think this as a बीमारी, this is a disease.
Yeah.
ये सबसे बड़ा मिसकॉन्सेप्शन है that we are, and it's so, इतना 21st सेंचुरी टेक्नोलॉजी आगे हो गया, बट ये चीज में अभी भी वी आर सो बैकवर्ड. We cannot, we will take many centuries to make it कि ये normal है, this thing is normal.
I think it's also because of the
People,
things, of the terms that we use for menstruation. In Assamese, we call it okubidha, which means uncomfortableness, which doesn't really signify that you're menstruating, but it's seen as you are in some kind of discomfort. We don't use the word masik or mahekya, right? In our normal day-to-day conversations, it's always in Hindi में बोलते हैं आंटी आ गई या आज मैं down हूँ. All these phrases. So I think there should be a shift in the narratives as well. When it comes to normal day-to-day conversations about periods, right? So I think that ये छोटी-छोटी बातें हैं, but ये काफी बड़ा impact करेगी once we start incorporating more neutral terminologies, more gender neutral terminologies.
That's a very good point, Bidisha, like changing the narrative. Down हो गई मैं. This is why you have to say it as down हो गई instead of it's like I'm just having my periods. Periods is not. I mean that's a very normal. Cramps and all, but down home, I think that's a very good point. What you say, that narrative needs to change how we call this. So we have just thank you Jaideep for watching. I'm not sure about IEC and do you guys know about this?
Yeah,
IEC?
I can speak about it.
All right.
IEC is basically information, education, and communication materials, and BCC is behavior change communication. Very, very important point. Thank you, Jaideep, for pointing it out. I worked extensively in using behavior change communication to address the myths and taboos around periods in interior districts of Assam. and these actually and these can be materials which can be simple posters. So for बहुत simple सा example है, अगर मान लो आपके घर के सामने आप कचरा फेंक रहे हो, right, you just put it out there because कहीं पे designated जगह नहीं है, but कल उसी पर अगर next day ही अगर कोई डस्टबिन रख देगा वहाँ पे, so your brain will automatically push you to throw your kachra in that dustbin. And you know, the Swachh Bharat mission is also actually applying the same thing of now when we are asking people, nudging people to segregate their waste, right, the wet waste and the dry waste, which is so very important for the environment. Behavior change communication and IC materials. IC materials can be posters, can be just audios, can be videos. So anything that is out there which kind of is nudging people's behavior and is actually helping people how to get away from the old habits of theirs. So for example, if someone was initially throwing their pads just ऐसे ही हम जमीन के अंदर गाड़ रहे थे, now if you put a sanitary pad incinerator that we say, which where you can dispose of the usable the pads, the sanitary plastic pads. I think now schools have started getting installed these incinerators which will dispose of the sanitary pads as children's use. So I think ऐसे छोटे steps and behavior change communication can just be about एक line लिख दिया आपने जहाँ पे you know कि आपने please throw your pads in here, it will help save the environment by you doing this bit. So these are small things where behavior change communication is used to nudge people's behavior so that they come away from their old habits. Tanushree has a question. Shelly, you're on mute. Shelly, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Jayashree, for watching. She is saying much needed information, and we have Tanushree's question here: how to teach about menstruation to preteens? I have an FU, and I need to make sure he understands it. I think Sukanya has just shared her experience with her brother. So, you want to take this? Or Bidisha, you want to go ahead with it?
Just want to add one more point. Of course, Tanushree, thank you for asking that question. Like Sukanya has shared her experience of how she, and her brother and how she made it a more conducive, try to make it a more conducive environment. But there are also now education materials. I know there's a comic book called Menstrupedia. If you have heard, if you have not, you can just Google it. Menstrupedia is a comic book for preteens, for children who through whom, and they have a very unique way of making children aware about menstruation. They have certain characters. They have a very famous character called Gulu. Who is this very young boy who wants to know more about periods, and the whole comic, and they have videos, so they are like cartoon videos. It's like a cartoon comic with children, and with children always love cartoons, right? They find automatically there's an interest generated when they see a cartoon comic book, and specifically when that comic book is making them aware. I think you can use, I mean this is what from experience I'm saying is mothers and teachers have used Menstrupedia comics to address the topic among preteens, which is a great way, I feel. So yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, Tanushree, I think I have just shared the link also of Menstrupedia. You can have a look. There are interesting comics and a lot of information on that to make them aware on preteens. So we have we have discussed almost all the topics, but this is a very vast topic on women's health awareness. So before we wrap it up, do you have anything to say, Sukanya and Bidisha, before we wrap it? section.
Um, I think this discussion was much needed. Like I
Hmm.
thank Shelly Shelly Bodhi for bringing such a amazing space for discussing this about this. Like we we're not uh, comfortable about talking periods or menstruation or anything because I think somewhere in our mind it is ingrained that you should not talk about this topic. You should not talk about this topic because back in our mind वो चीज ही है जो which not stopping us. I simply want to tell everyone, just simply, take it as a natural process, which I have emphasized about this topic like quite a lot. So I want to tell that इसको आप नेचुरली वे में लो. अगर यू नो दैट अभी इतना ज्यादा people are talking about it, when somebody is asking you to practice those things which should not be done, I guess you should stop it. Being a girl or being a boy, anybody, you should stop at that first place telling that no, this is not right. I know you can't forcefully tell people to stop it because वो चीज इतने सालों से हो रखी है कि it will take time. So be very when first be very gentle, then try to convince people about it. This is wrong, this is bad, all these things. Tell them in a scientific way. I think Bidisha told about that. This really good thing about that comic. अगर I think that's बस ये pre-teens के लिए भी नहीं है. आई थिंक एडोलेसेंट या फिर कुछ कुछ जो मेरे एज के भी है ना उनके लिए भी ये जरूरी होगा बिकॉज मेनी पीपल दे डोंट वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड इट इन साइंटिफिक वे आल्सो. सो आई थिंक दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ कॉमिकल वे या फिर attractive way, then I think we can bring changes in the society. And at last, I really want to tell you that charity begins at home. First, you should try in our home, try in our surrounding. You need to be sure about yourself. You have to be very confident. अगर कोई आपको बोले कि तुम इसके बारे में क्यों बात कर रहे हो, why are you talking about it, you don't have any shape. I had faced a lot about this topic. I was confident enough to know I have to tell these people, this is wrong. And not especially, if you are little privileged enough and you have that privilege in your life, try to contribute to menstrual hygiene, to menstrual health, to underprivileged people who are not, who don't have any, access towards this menstrual thing, which I have or which many of us have. I have seen many people till now uses the cloth. That is, it may ये फ्यूचर में जाके बहुत सारी डिजीजेस होता है. आई विल इस टॉपिक के बारे में कभी और बात करेंगे बट hygiene menstrual practice is necessary, and if you people are privileged enough, then try to share your things with those people who have no access to it. And I think this is much like आज के लिए इतना ही है. And I think future me I'm planning to establish my own NGO for women-centric one. And since I am in Guwahati right now, I have been in Guwahati since quite a long time. I would love to work with Miss Bidisha.
Yes.
If you give it
Definitely.
Sure,
And best
absolutely.
someday.
wishes for future like plans on this NGO.
Like I have this determination, or I have this thing that बाकी कुछ हो या ना हो, at least I'm going to make my own NGO for women employment, for women centric, at least awareness of the schemes. Many people don't know the schemes. Awareness of the schemes, women employment and rural employment, then women centric. This is what I have planned, and I am going to do in spite of कुछ हो या ना हो. I'm going to do that in future for sure.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
We'll wait for that. Yeah,
Yes,
Vidisha,
I
you want
will
to
wait
say
to work
something?
with you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Sukanya. It's a lovely congratulations and all the best for your
Thank
initiative,
you
for
so
your
much.
NGO. I think you'll do great, and of course, I would look forward to work with you in near future. Um, Having said that, I think thank you everyone. Just be. I mean, I'm grateful. Thank you, Shelly, for firstly inviting me to today's episode. And thank you everyone who joined, who shared their views. I think that's what we need, and that's how conversations needs. I mean, the one request, of course, that I have from everyone is not just stop talking about periods when this episode ends, but also keep this conversation going in your homes, within your friend circle, within your colleagues. I think that's more important. And like we said, small thing matters. When you know you can help someone, then please come forward and not shy away because it's a girl's issue karke.
Mm.
So just encourage these discussions, and let menstruators actually feel safe when they are talking to you about anything related to periods. So I think that's one. And the second one, I would really love if we talk about um, pad vending machine install kar do, and I know my campaign is about that. But one thing that I would really love to do is, and what I've been trying to do is also empower women to kind of make the choice of which menstrual product that they want to use, right? Of the menstruators of which menstrual product they want to use, and not just because, like Sukanya said, she's using a menstrual cup. There are many other sustainable options. Many people might not be also comfortable with just one product, so many people might want to explore. So I really would love to, and that is what I've been doing, to empower menstruators with the choice of making the choice of which product that they want to use, because at the end of the day, it's their body, it's their cycle. That's also just keep the conversations going, and yeah, I look forward to all the other episodes of Be My Guest, and congratulations to you,
Absolutely. I
Shelly,
think
again.
I think मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि because the conversation is so और भी चीजें हैं that we have to discuss.
Hmm.
So maybe we can again have a panel discussion on this kind of topic more. और भी चीजें हैं जो हम लोगों ने अभी cover नहीं किया है due to constraint of time. So what we can do is we can think about certain topics that we can discuss, not only menstruation and other topics. तो मैं Be My Guest में अभी वो focus भी कर रही हूँ कि we should talk about other things also, menstruation and these important issues, topics we can come up and talk. So it will be an honor for me to invite you guys again for this kind of
Thank
session.
you.
And it was a wonderful session. I'm telling you, my father-in-law is watching. He has commented, "Amar way back with glory." He has always supported me in all the episodes, and thank you, Baba, for watching again. And be you here in this section is very important for me. So thank you so much. Okay, this is done. And Devika, thank you for watching. She is telling Sukanya that she's always here if she needs any help. So
Yeah,
with
I
that,
worked with her, and
yeah, okay. You want to say something to her?
no, no, it's okay. I'm done.
Okay,
I want to conclude it here.
okay, no worries. So with that, we have come to the conclusion, and we will again come with this kind of topics. If you have any topics in mind, you can share in our policy page or YouTube channel. We can always have this discussion. So I'm really happy that we could talk about this in our culture, and I'm really grateful to Sukanya and Bidisha to come over here, and this something where मुझे भी पता नहीं था, तो इतना कुछ सीखने को और जानने को मिलता है. So let's meet again. So let us conclude this episode,
Yeah.
and we will meet soon. And thank you so much to all the viewers for sharing their comments and being there. I'm really thankful that you guys watch the show and put up your questions. and it was a really, really interesting. Thank you so much once again. We will meet soon. Okay. Good night. Good night.
Thank
Bidisha.
you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye bye.